Marina!
Hi, Alan.
Hang on. Just checking everything. Okay. How are you doing, my dear?
Very good.
How's my voice? Clearer?
Yes, to me anyway.
You are now in the final session, my dear.
Wow.
How do you feel?
That one quick.
Oh, yeah. Quick. Now, a couple of things I want to... This is my favorite session. Because this one is all about listening to your own child. Your coach right now is no longer me. It's the little girl inside you. Okay. And the question is, will you follow her guidance? This is why this chapter, which happens to be chapter 16, session 7, is many a call, few listen, fewer still respond. Because this brings you face to face with your original aloneness. Now you might say, what do you mean by that, Alan? What I mean is this. Knowing things and being aware of, this is what Jung called aloneness. Knowing things and being aware of things that very few people know or even want to accept is what aloneness is all about. And you certainly will go through that to some degree when you make a breakthrough. And particularly if your partner doesn't understand or other people close to you, it's because you must own it yourself. There's a certain aloneness with that, and you must surrender to that too. I speak from my own personal experience, having done this very same thing.
Yep.
You know, when I got my PhD and I was working with my mentor, and I realized that I was having a meeting with all my advisors, and I realized none of them knew what I was talking about, and I felt this aloneness, which I totally surrendered to and broke through the joy underneath. So everything I'm talking about, I've experienced, and I've experienced it also with my clients. That's why relationship is the true test. Can you own your truth in relationship? And that's also why we need to have a session with you and Stephen on Sunday to reinforce that. Are you open to that?
Oh yes. You tell him to listen to me always. Marina knows best.
Okay, so now what's been happening to you since our last session?
I don't know. I probably, as you talk about aloneness, I probably feel that I really am alone. When I say alone, there's always people around, but it's like, in the past, I've always looked for validation from people. I've doubted myself. And I knew what was true for me, but still needed other people to validate me or to advise me, yes, you're right. So
Right.
I'm noticing that I really am alone. And it can be a little bit scary. It can be a little bit scary.
That's true. How are you handling that?
Well, I've not done anything crazy or mad.
But recognize the fact that your original aloneness is knowing something and being aware of something. Think about that as a child. And when you're in touch with this great truth and nobody around you knows it, your parents least of all, and that's the aloneness that creeps in on you. So this is why it's so important that you celebrate that and share it anyway. And that's where Noah comes in. Remember you did the death exercise? So people who can communicate or commune with you on that level are very important. Now, you did the death exercise last time. And did you thank these people or have a chance to let out these people who were basically there when you died, supposedly died? Let them know how important they were in your life, any of them? How about Noah?
No, I haven't. I'll see Noah this weekend.
How about Stephen?
Oh yeah, Stephen. Yeah, I'm always thanking Stephen.
Tell me about that.
About what? How I thank him?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'd be grateful. He knows I'd be grateful for him for coming into my life at the time he did. I'm grateful for him accepting me, warts and all, and always listen to me, and just being there basically without trying to fix me or tell me there's something wrong with me. And I'm grateful for all the people he has made me aware of too, like your good self. That's one.
Okay, in some ways, since we have like Anne being your mother and Catherine being your sister, in some ways, Stephen has become the father you always wanted too. Is that true?
Um, yes, he would be. There'd be another man that would sort of represent as well my father.
Yeah, but as far as a person who unconditionally loved you and totally supported you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how you look at it in these terms of, my God, that makes total sense. Because in a way, he has done that, correct?
Yep.
And now, how do you feel about the fact that this has now become this video project? It's not about me and my work. It's about you and your incredible courage and fighting your way to the surface and claiming your gift. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's something that I've always wanted. Really, I didn't know that's what I wanted at the time. And it is to reclaim that authentic power or that truth or that part of me.
Yeah. So how does that feel that that's happening? Not only that, but hundreds of people, there's already over 100 have seen session 5. Hundreds of people, and we haven't even started the publicity campaign, are seeing you and being inspired by you. And I can tell you that is for certain. I've got emails from people saying, how inspiring. Not me, it's you. So how does that make you feel?
It feels good because to me, it's like this is my quest, as you call it. And be it a quest all my life, I've been on a quest I've seen all my life to get to a place to own my own truth and own my own self. So it's pretty cool. It's really cool and it's work in progress.
Okay. So anyway, and you deserve it. You really do deserve it. And I feel honored to be participating in this unveiling of this magical person. Okay. Playing my role, whatever it is, playing my role and you coming out from hiding. And that's exactly how I feel with all my clients. The same thing. I'm honored that I can be in service to you coming out from hiding. And no longer being controlled by fear. No longer, as you use the word, a hostage of fear. I've stolen that from you, Marina.
Thank you, Alan. You can keep it.
Okay, so this session, oh, by the way, I want you to write this down.
Okay.
These are the 8 steps of ego death. And they'll be a healthy reminder to you. Okay?
Yep.
The first one is denial. First step is denial. Now let me give you the word on it. There's nothing wrong with me, everything's fine. Okay, that's denial. 2 is anger. That's really like, all my games aren't working anymore and I'm angry about it. Okay?
Yep.
3 is bargaining. Well, as always, alcohol or cigarettes or something I can hold on to make me feel good. I don't want to face the fear and sadness. Bargaining. That's the 3rd step of ego death. Okay?
Yep.
4 is depression. Depression. I can't fight it anymore. It's there. Depression. I can't run away from it anymore.
Yep.
Now, you actually have gone through 5. 5 is acceptance and connection. That's when you accept the sadness and connect it to the little girl in you, wherever you get stuck. You did that after you met the child, remember?
Yep.
You just accept it. You surrender to it and accept it and connect it. That's when you're really loving that child, when you connect the pain. You don't blame anybody, realize it's my pain, I can't avoid it anymore, and it's exactly what I felt as a child. Remember that in session 5?
Yep.
Okay, 6 is surrender.
Yep.
That's totally letting go and being in the moment. Letting go and being in the moment. You have done that. This is why you're so courageous, Marina. You've done that. I've done it as a fighter pilot in the Navy and just totally surrendered to the fact that I was being divinely guided. Oh my God. I just conquered fear. Okay. And I'm not going to crash. Okay. It's the same thing. And it's what it is totally letting go. It's like the trust fall. Totally letting go, trusting that the answer is there inside. Okay? Surrender, stage 6.
Yep.
7, celebration. That's you going, woohoo!
Woohoo!
That's celebration. 7 is celebration. You are seeing through different eyes, and all you have to do is give yourself permission to share that. That's all you have to do, is live it. That's why, and I was talking about this in my radio show today,
Yeah.
Marina, as most people are not afraid of their pain. Most people are living in pain. Most people are afraid of their joy. If I let myself be that happy, Alan, the piano will fall on my head. No, everyone will think I'm nuts. Wrong. That's when you connect, because you're connecting with people at the deepest level, underneath their pain. That's where I come from in my work, and I've been coming from that place with you. Celebration.
Yep.
That's why I can laugh, because I'm connected with this little girl who's in celebration and saying, well, if Alan can do that, I can too. Pushing up all that stuff. And the last step after celebration is service. You might wonder, what do you mean by service, Alan? Well, let's just say this, Marina. We all came here for, God is a loving plan in action, an evolutionary process with which we all participate as co-creators. So all of us have a part to play in the loving plan. I'm very aware that I'm playing my part. Owning this great truth I knew as a child and sharing it with the world is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is why we're doing this. Nothing is more, to me, makes more of a difference than that. It really, it's like I'm empowering people by just being myself. So what happens is when you get into that place, your validation totally shifts to inside, and you realize, oh my God, being in service to the loving plan is what I've always wanted to do. I'm making a difference. It's not about this person or that person or making this much money or nothing. It's about knowing that I'm making a difference and I'm in service. Do you understand that?
Yep.
And okay, this is a big test question for you. What's the biggest gift you can give anybody? Say it though.
Being true to me, being true to myself.
That's it. Totally sharing your truth regardless of the risk. That's the biggest gift. Okay, so now, this session is all about listening. Many a call, it's my favorite session because I get a chance to tell you what it's like to be in the field, in the state of slow consciousness. And I know you experience it to some degree, but I want to reinforce that. And in my book, I talk about a story about meeting Stanley Krippner, my mentor, and it's a good example of that same thing, that same story, of doing something, just being totally guided from within and have it turn out perfectly. But I want to give you a thumbnail sketch of that story before you read it, but I want you to read that story. So when I was like you, coming out of my shell back in the early 1970s, and I knew a great truth that was all about love, and I had a dream I was going to write a book called Conscious Love, The Ultimate Energy. and all types of weird paranormal stuff was happening to me, and I was trusting. And I was living by myself in Sausalito, and I decided, and I was almost doing the same thing I'm doing now, but I didn't have a license or anything. I was just doing it. And I decided to get my MFCC, my MA, and get my license, and I decided to go to Sonoma State University and get my MA, my master's degree. So I did, and I was accepted. Sonoma State University is one of the best colleges in the world for paranormal psychology. Really is. All the big hitters were there. Alan Watts, Stanley Krippner, all the biggies were there when I went there. And so I signed up for a external degree program to get my master's degree. And to cut the long story short, there was about 40 of us that were accepted. So Stan Krippner flew out from New York, and he was sitting in the middle of this room. He said, okay, he said, I'm going to go around the room and ask you what you're going to be doing for your master's degree project or dissertation, and let me know what it is. Stan is one of the most wonderful people you've ever met. And so he's sitting there, he's going around, okay, Marina, what are you going to be doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting at the far corner, and I'm going, oh my God, look at all these people. They're doing all these crazy things. And the only thing I have going for me is my dream that I'm going to write a book called Conscious Love, The Ultimate Image. So he gets to me, he says, okay, Roland, what are you going to do for your master's degree? So I sort of gulped and said in a very shaky voice, I'm going to be writing a book, and it's going to be called Conscious Love, The Ultimate Energy. And he said, prove it. And everyone laughed, and I didn't care. Why, Marina? Because I said my truth. Regardless of being laughed at or anything, I said my truth. And that's what I felt inside. I was going to write this book, and I didn't know what it was, but I just trusted if that was true, I was going to say it. I was going to verbalize it and tell my truth, regardless of everything. So meanwhile, during this 5-day conference, that was the only connection I had with Stan. And I felt that he was going to be my mentor for some strange reason, since I was having all this paranormal stuff happen to me, because I made such an incredible dive into this place and surrendering to love, this place of consciousness, and I was trying to put it all together. So Thursday rolls around, and I'm getting ready to leave because I was staying there, and I'm a little disappointed because I never had a chance to really connect with Stan. And just as I'm getting ready to leave, he's going back to New York for a very important meeting. Stan is always going to important meetings. He's one of my dear friends now. And this little boy in me said, don't leave. Don't leave. So I listen, and I respond. This is what it's like, Marina. When you get guided from within, you listen and you respond. So I said, okay, I can't leave. So I walk down to the dining hall, and there's nobody there. And I look in the kitchen, and there's some guy cleaning dishes. His name was Leonard. And we sort of struck up a conversation, and he said, hey, how about having a glass of wine together? And I said, fine. So we sit down, and we're having a glass of wine. And he's telling me how he thought the whole conference was revolving around him. And I just listened nicely, but I very directly told him that that was not what was happening. He was part of the kitchen group, but I did it very nicely. I said, I don't know how long you've been doing that, Leonard, but that's not really serving you. He said, you're right. I have been doing that my whole life. And I said, well, you don't need to do it anymore. He said, you're right. What's your name? I said, my name is Allen Roland. He said, well, thanks, Alan. And I said, well, thank you, Leonard. I realized that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I have no idea what this means, Marina. I have no idea. I just surrendered. Totally showed up. Just like I'm doing with you. So anyway, that night, I'm at home, I get a phone call from Stan Krippner. Alan. He has a very sweet voice. Alan, I'd like to meet with you tomorrow in Alan Watts' lodge. He said, I had a trip to New York, I've canceled it. I've blocked off the whole afternoon to meet with you. Can you meet with me? I said, yes, of course I can, Stan. So I go down to Sausalito, and I show up, and he said, Alan, I don't know what's going on here, but something's happening. He said, my driver was helping me pack last night for my trip, and I realized he made a total shift in consciousness. He was like a different person. And I said, Leonard, his name was Leonard, by the way, to give you a clue. He said, Leonard, what's going on with you? What's happening? He said, I don't know what's happened, Stan. He said, but I realized today that I've been bullshitting myself my whole life. I can't do it anymore. And Stan said, well, I've been telling you that. So did other people. He said, I don't know, I just got it. I got it. I was talking to one of your students, and I don't know what happened, like a veil lifted, and I realized I can't do that anymore. And Stan said, well, what was his name? He said his name was Allen Roland. As soon as he said that, he said, oh my God, he proved it to me. Conscious love is the ultimate. Leonard made a total shift. I didn't know he was Stan Stoker. I had no idea. And the rest is history. Stan Kripke became my mentor for my master's degree. I wrote the book, Conscious Love, The Ultimate Energy. He was my second reader for my PhD. He's the one that led me to Grace Petitclerc, who led me to Teilhard de Chardin, who was my mentor from Beyond Time and Space. All the rest of the things in my life that were really important tied in with Stan Kripke, and I would never have met it unless I'd listened to that little boy who knew it all along and said, don't leave. And so I did. See what I mean?
Yep.
That's when you have to believe in yourself impeccably. Believe in yourself. And that's when you realize you're part of something far bigger than you, and you're playing your part. That makes sense?
Yep. Yep.
That story is in my book. At the end of chapter 16. I want you to read that story. It'll inspire you. Okay, so one of the wonderful things about this session, besides doing this great exercise that we're going to be doing at the end of it, is realizing that when you do make this shift from the need for outer validation to inner validation, you are gifted, blessed. All types of things come your way. They really do. All you have to do is accept it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay? And so you are going to be in that position yourself. For instance, this whole thing that's happening here is all a gift. Alan, we want your work out there on the planet. We want everyone to see this. Here's Steve, and here's Marina, who you could not be a more perfect client than you. Not be more damaged than perfect. No, I mean, the beautiful being inside, you're it. Okay, and I get the chance to empower you and everyone to experience it. So, you might ask me the question, Alan, who was your mentor?
Alan, who's your
And
mentor?
I always, what's that?
Who was your mentor?
Teilhard de Chardin, who died in 1955. He was a Catholic Jesuit priest. His work, the Catholic Church considered him the king of blasphemy, for basically saying it was all about love, and that you can find that within yourself. He's the one that wrote, "Love alone is capable of uniting living beings in such a way as to complete and fulfill them, for it alone takes them and joins them by what is deepest within themselves." He's my mentor because he knew what I knew. And literally, my work on this planet has been to build on what Teilhard already knew and own it with the world. But the one thing he didn't know, Marina, was that and it was his dilemma. He didn't know why people were so afraid of what was deeper within them. He didn't realize that pain overrides joy. Painful memories take precedence over joyful memories, and that he never got to that place himself. But he was the embodiment of joy. He knew a great truth. So, back in 1995, I wrote my second book called The Truth, that shall set everything ablaze, taken from a quote by Teilhard de Chardin saying, "Sooner or later there'll be a chain reaction. For the truth has to appear only once in one single mind, with anything to keep it from spreading universally and setting everything ablaze." Well, the truth is that God is love. Teilhard knew it, I know it, and now you know it. Okay, this video is going to help that turn everything in place. Okay, so anyway, I've written that book, but I would have this desire to somehow meet Teilhard or know about him, because I never met him. Obviously, he died in 1955. I was born. I was only about 12 years old when that happened. I didn't know Teilhard. And so this is my wish being granted. one of my clients who I worked with, out of the clear blue sky, sent me this tape many years ago and said, Alan, I don't know why I sent you this. It just sort of popped out of the shelf or something, but I think you should have this. So anytime anybody does something like that to me, Maria, I listen. Okay. So I got this tape, and it's Jean Houston. You know who Jean Houston is?
Nope.
She's a lecturer, but a wonderful person, talking about her experience in New York. So I want to play this tape for you as an example of when you're on the path, you are continually being given gifts and blessed. Okay?
Yep.
Here we go. Let me know if it's loud enough.
Because
Hear
I
it?
think one of the things is that we have to restore a sense of astonishment and wonder in the human condition. I'd like to talk, just briefly, if I might have 2 minutes just to tell a little story, do that, about perhaps the most evolved human being I ever met. And who did this for everybody. I was 11, no, I was 14. I was 14 years old. I was this great big overgrown girl. I was my present size at 11 years old. My family was getting very worried. Anyway, I used to go running down, thundering down Park Avenue late for school. And one
That's
day
in
I
New
ran
York.
into an old man. I knocked the wind out of him. And I picked him up. He said to me, laughing in a French-English accent, he said, "Are you planning to run like that for the rest of your life?" I said, "Yes, sir, looks that way." He said, "Well, bon voyage." I said, "Bon voyage," and I ran to school. Next week, I run into him again. Not into him, this time I stopped short, and I was carrying was with my fox terrier, Jan. He said, "Oh, fox terrier, I knew him many years ago. Where you going?" I said, "Well, sir, I'm taking a chance to send to Fox." I said, "I will go with him to go with him too, okay?" I said, "Good." He said, "I will take my constitution." He had a long, elegant name, beautiful, elegant face. His name was something like Mr. Thayer. Mr. Thayer. Asked me to call him up for Mr. Thayer. Well, he and I began to take these books together. Well, he was something. He wasn't like most of us, you know, thinking of ourselves as an encapsulated bag of skin dragging around a very little ego. Not at all. He knew himself to be organism environment. He was symbiotic with everything. He was relating to everything. And suddenly would fall to the ground in Central Park and say, "Oh, Jean, look at caterpillar. What is a caterpillar becoming on? A papillon. Jean, feel yourself to be a caterpillar in the state of metamorphosis." He loved the word metamorphosis. "Jean, what are you when you finally become a butterfly?" It's a great question for 14-year-old girl. What does the butterfly mean? Well, Jean, sniff the wind. We would lean into the wind. Same wind was perhaps once sniffed by Jésus-Christ, huh? By Alexander the Great. By Genghis Khan, not so good. By Antoinette, very interesting, you know. Sniff the winds of history, be filled with the tides of history. Tremendous. He knew a great deal about rocks and old stones. And he would go up to the rocks and he'd talk to them. "Oh, my friend, my nitrogenous layer, do you remember what?" People started to follow us about, not laughing at us, but with us. Because he created such a celebration of life. He would get little children talking to old ladies. He would see the weave between things. It was a great tapestry of resonance, of fellowship, of almost cosmic fellow feeling. And he would look at you. He would look at you with such a lovingness. It was beyond what we normally think of as love. It was like a state of wonder and astonishment. And a regarding of you in a comical way as the cluttered house that hid the Holy One.
That's you.
He looked at you as if you were God in hiding. I'd go home and I'd say to my mother, "Mother, I met my old man again, and when I am with him, I leave my littleness behind." Because you couldn't be your usual nebbish self and linger around all these details. He empowered you in that look at you. Felt the evolutionary juices. Evoked. You knew something much larger. This was part of a much larger, deeper, more coherent. My mind began to sing. I wasn't much of a student before, and I saw relationships between my geography class and history and the civics that I could not have seen. And I was empowered historically. The last time I saw him, I brought him the shell of a snail. He said, "Oh, it's got go." Then he began to talk about the patterns. The pattern on the floor of Sharp Cathedral. The patterns of the galaxies, the patterns of the brain. The twirl of flowers, the meandering of rhythms, and finally he said to me, "Omega. Omega.
Omega is soul consciousness.
Omega." And he said, "Au revoir, Jean." I said, "Au revoir, Mr. Taylor." I never saw him again. The dog and I would wait the same place, 84th Street and Park Avenue. Dog would go, those were my thoughts too, but he never came. Years later, however, somebody hands me a book without a cover called The Phenomenon of Man. I read it, and it is too familiar. I mean, it's to Omega, Noosphere, Metamorphosis. I said, my God, this is my past. And I went to my friend and I said, this is too familiar. Do you have the picture of the author? Do you have the cover? She said, oh yeah, under a book file in the New York Times. She pulls out the cover and she flipped it over and of course it's my own man. Mr. Taylor had been Taylor de Chardin, a great French scientist, paleontologist, mystic, priest, one of the great evocateurs of the 20th century, who lived across the street from me at the Jesuit rectory of St. Ignatius, and that is what
He was the last person to experience Teilhard before he died.
Now to know, I tell the story because to have known a person like that, there were certain qualities. He was childlike, he was not childish. He was in a state of, what should I say, leaky margins with everything. He was using the fullness of himself, all his senses. He was deeply engaged and in a state of wonder and astonishment before you. And deeply honoring, deeply empowering, deeply saying, you've studied so many hundreds of potentials, what is the greatest potential? The greatest potential we have is for the honoring, the empowering, the deep acknowledgement of the other, in that we grow. He was childlike, but he was a possible human. And in his own peculiar way, he helped seed a possible society. He brought such weapon into society as perhaps very few people in the 20th century have. But that is what he was like.
So, that's my experience of Teilhard. Now, no, Teilhard's a lot like me. Leaky margins, to be full expression of yourself, and just sharing the joy and excitement of seeing through different eyes. That's why I love playing this tape, because that was a gift to me. Alan, we want to reunite you with your mentor, the person you have basically proven his philosophy about love. You've proven it in your own work. Here he is. So this is why I love playing this for you. And this is why in my work, Teilhard de Chardin, Carl Jung, Einstein, I honor them all. Because all I've done is built my unified field on what they already knew. Like, made it into something much more translatable into what we can all access. You like that tape?
Yep.
Did you identify with that same spirit of Teilhard's?
Yep.
Okay. So now, it's an honor to share that with you. And I'm honoring Teilhard by doing that too. He would love this. He probably already knows that. So now, before we do this final exercise, do you have any more questions in regards to what you've gone through with me?
No, I just think it's a case of living it and trusting in that inner voice, that inner thing myself.
Right. Exactly right. It's the true test now is, can you trust yourself and listen and respond? It's going to be to yourself, Marina. Not someone else, it's going to be you. And you will know it when it happens. You will know, like me. I know, for instance, give me an example. I knew before I even met Keiko that that would be the person I'd be living with. And I totally, impeccably trusted. Totally trusted. And I was right. So quite often you don't know this until later. Because you must trust yourself. It's almost like only then can you access the field and be used. My biggest feeling of belonging, Marina, is not being part of this community that I'm with. No. It's knowing I'm part of something bigger than me and I'm playing my part in it. That's the most important belonging of all. And I feel that very intensely in my work I'm doing now. And particularly this work with you and Stephen. It's like, my God, all these people are going to see this. But I'm not the star. You're the star. Because the star of all my work is my people that I work with, who are claiming their joy and excitement and making a difference in the planet.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Total sense, yep.
Now, you're going to be doing the same thing, just by being yourself. You will be directed, you will know, and all it's going to depend on is you saying yes to yourself and not being controlled by fear. You really get that?
Yep.
Okay. So now we're going to do this special exercise.
Good.
Good. So I want you to sit down and relax. As I key this up, close your eyes. And concentrate on your breathing. As I count you down from 10 to 1. Each number, as we get closer to 1, you've done this before, you're going to fall into a place of deep, deep surrender, open to any suggestion that I give you, knowing and trusting it will lead you only to a greater awareness and experience of yourself. Concentrating only on your deep breathing, breathing in deeply, holding it for a few seconds, and breathing out. And the sound of my voice, I'm going to count you down from 10 to 1. 10. I want you to be aware of your feet, flat on the ground, which is connected to the earth, that beautiful Irish earth. And you're part of this loving plan, so your feet connect you to the earth, which is source. 9. I want you to be aware of your legs, totally relaxed, completely relaxed. 8. I want you to be aware of your fanny, sinking into the chair, totally relaxed. 7. I want you to be aware of your stomach and chest. Feeling the air coming down through your throat into your lungs, holding it for a few seconds and breathing out. 6. I want you to be aware of your hands, resting on your lap, totally relaxed. 5. I want you to be aware of your arms, resting by your side, completely relaxed. Once again, all you are aware of is the sound of my voice, and the sound of your own deep breathing. If you fall deeper and deeper into a place of deep, 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 deep surrender, open to any suggestion that I give you, knowing and trusting it will lead you only to a greater awareness and experience of yourself. 4. I want you to be aware of your shoulders. No tension at all, completely relaxed. 9. I want you to be aware of your neck, particularly your throat. Feeling the air coming down through your throat into your lungs, holding it for a few seconds, and breathing out. 2. I want you to be aware of your head, resting on your neck, totally relaxed. 1. I want you to be aware of your mind. No clutter, no nothing. You are only here in the moment, in this room, listening to me, totally relaxed in a place of complete surrender. You're now in a place of total surrender, open to any suggestion that I give you, knowing and trusting it will only lead you to a greater awareness and experience of yourself. You're in a beautiful meadow by yourself, leaning against an oak tree. But it's incredible, this meadow. You've seen nothing like it. You can touch everything. There's flowers all around. Birds are singing. Deer grazing in the meadow. You can hear a brook babbling close by. It's incredibly peaceful and tranquil. The sun is gently coming through the leaves. Birch trees are in full color. From the sky, you can see an eagle soaring in a wind. There's nowhere else you'd want to be except this beautiful meadow. And you totally surrender to the fact that all this beauty of nature around you is all part of you. And your biggest love is nature. Telling you always that you're loved. You're loved. You're loved. I want you to take your arms, hands, place them over your heart. Go ahead. And drink in the fact that you are loved by nature. You're part of the loving plan, no different than this tree, that brook, everything around you. You're part of the loving plan, and you are loved by nature. You're an incredible part of this loving plan. Drink that in. You're loved by nature. Asking you only to do one thing. Sing your song. Say yes to yourself. Play your part in this magnificent chorus, which is the loving plan. And as you do this, slowly into the meadow are going to come people who have loved you your whole life. Starting with your beloved Aunt Peggy or Nana. Walks in smiling. They're all smiling. They all see you, touching you, letting you know you love. Your mother and father are there. Your sisters are there. Annie's there. This meadow is slowly becoming filled with people. Kevin is there. All these people who have loved you in your life, even when you didn't love you, are there. Letting you know how loved you are, even though when you didn't see it, they saw you. They saw who you were. And all these people in your present life are there too. Your master, Greg is there. All these people have played their part. And you finally realizing that what's deepest within you is love, not anger, not sadness, but love. Now this meadow is becoming filled with people. And then suddenly, a little girl comes running into the meadow, and she comes running up and meets you in your lap. Yes, that little girl is the little girl inside of you, who loves you more than anybody. She is directing you to each one of these people. She has loved you more than anyone. Waiting for you to finally have the courage not only see her, embrace her, but give her a voice. And now this meadow is totally filled. Stephen is there, of course, standing right next to you. Just letting you know that he's always seen who you are. And then in the distance, you see another figure approach. There's sort of a familiar smile. And you realize that he's your beloved Coach Allen. He's got a box wrapped in silver foil just for you. And he comes walking up. And he stands in front of you. So put your hands out like you're going to receive something. Go ahead. And he hands you this beautiful silver box. And then stands right next to Stephen and you and lets you know that he's seen you too. And he's just been playing his part and empowering you to claim the gift. And this is the gift he's given. The silver box. So in your mind's eye, I want you to unwrap that box with your hands. Go ahead, unwrap it. Okay, and open up the box. And look inside. And you're going to see a mirror. A mirror. And I want you to pick up that mirror. Go ahead, pick up that mirror. And I want you to look into that mirror. Because you are the gift you've been waiting for your whole life. It's you. You're the gift you've been waiting for. It's you, Marina. You're the gift. And as you do this, suddenly these words become imprinted in you. I'm the gift. I am the gift. I've always wanted to be. I'm the gift. And as soon as you claim it by giving yourself a voice, those words will become no different than Buddha, Jesus, I am. I am. Alan, I am. That only means one thing. I know by being myself, I am in touch with the loving plan. I'm proud of it. I am. I am. I am the gift. I am the gift. Let that resonate through every cell in your body. Claiming it. And when you do, you'll become that eagle soaring in the wind who can see everything, knows it, and playing its part of the loving plan. I am the gift. I am the gift. And as you do this, slowly, everyone in this meadow leaves. All touching you before they leave, letting you know your love, And last person being your beloved Coach Allen, typing you, letting you know that you're loved, blessed. And only one person stays. It's a little girl. Because she's now your teacher. She already knows this. She's in the field. Now she's finally joined you. All you have to do is listen and respond to her guidance. She already knows your part in the loving plan. She already knows she's an eagle. All you have to do is let her fly. And so, I want you to basically say these words again to yourself. I am. And when you fully claim it, you will know it as you slowly come back to our magic space inside of you and open your eyes. Well, Marina, you're the gift.
Yes.
It's in my honor to help you claim it. Now, to really claim it, you must have the courage to tell your truth at the risk of everything. That's all, but you will know that you're part of a great fellowship, of the soul, that is, and you'll know you're playing your part in it, just like I do in doing this with you right now. I know I'm playing my part in something far bigger than me. That's the greatest feeling of belonging that I've ever had. I'm in service, from a place of celebration and joy. It can't get any better than that. So, how do you feel about that exercise right now?
Yes, I feel I have the gift, and it doesn't matter what I do, what I've done, what I feel like saying. I have to give it a voice, whatever it is, for me.
That's right. You have to be true to yourself. And just acknowledging you're the gift. That means in a self-empowering statement that I already know my step. Other people may not understand it, but I do. That's all that really matters. And you literally, guess what? You force people who are closest to you to unconditionally love you and celebrate you. Really. Tell me who you are.
It reminds me of, I think I told you, when I went to see a shaman years back, and when he did that, I couldn't even look. I couldn't even embrace the little girl. I just kept thinking, she's ugly, I don't want nothing to do with her. And he wouldn't send her home with me.
Now, when you looked at this little girl this time, what did you see?
She was beautiful. She was just embraced her.
She's a shining star, correct? Okay, claim her. But remember, right now, your self-respect will be your guide. Follow her, but your self-respect will be your guide. So I just want you to know, I am totally honored to be doing this work with you. This is great. This is the best time. I've done this exercise hundreds of times, but I really love doing it this time with you. I really did. I can feel myself there with you. So what a pleasure it is to really connect with you this deeply and be part of your unveiling. So this is your homework. You better write down your homework. We always have homework, Marina.
Yep. Okay.
Read chapter 16. Session 7.
Yep.
Many are called, few listen, and fewer still respond. That's the session. Also read 17 and 18. Because 17 is on relationship.
Okay.
And the true test of who you are, Marina, will always be revealed in relationship.
Too true.
Can you that's right. Can you truly be you at the risk of the relationship? That's always been my test. Yes. Can you be true to yourself even at the risk of the relationship? Your relationship right now is you're part of the loving plan. You've got to be true to yourself. You're part of something much bigger than you. So read that 17 and 18. 18 is the final chapter. Okay?
Yeah.
And read the story. The story is my meeting my mentor, Stanley Krippner.
Yeah.
Now let me just finish the session by saying this. I basically am the little boy at 3 years old. You were 5. The little boy at 3 or 4 years old, maybe, leaning out that window in Newtonville, Massachusetts, hearing my favorite song on the radio, Gene Autry's "I'm Back in the Saddle Again," and knowing that I was connected to everything. That's who I am right now. That same little boy, owning his truth. My whole life quest was to do that very same thing with my clients and everyone around me. That's the greatest completion of all. It's just being that person. And then having it be utilized to empower other people like you. Nothing can be better than that. So I want you to know what a pleasure it is. And I look forward to having my session with you and Stephen on Sunday.
Okay.
Because that will be doing a wonderful exercise which will really deepen both of your experience of this whole process.
Yep.
And bring you closer together too.
Looking forward to that, Alan.
Me too. So I'm signing off, my dear.
Thank you, Alan. I will see you then.
I'll see you then. Bye-bye.